Located right beside Southern Pacific Historic Rail Yards is the California State Railroad Museum. We guide you through the 8 most popular exhibits and attractions.
There are so many exhibits at the Sacramento Rail Museum that it's important to understand what you want to see before you get here.
Let's ride this train. From the San Francisco Bay Area, you can take Amtrak or the Capitol Corridor train to the beautiful turn-of-the-century Sacramento Valley Station, located right next to the Train Museum. There's also plenty of parking, known as the California State Railroad Museum or Sacramento Train Museum. This museum is good for young and old alike. Pro tip, as you're first entering the museum, see the park ranger for the Junior Ranger Adventure Guide to help those youngsters stay engaged. The museum has 3 levels. The exhibits are on the first level and the toy train gallery is on the 3rd level. We show you the popular exhibits on the first floor by going counterclockwise. Here's the location of the 8 most popular exhibits at the California State Railroad Museum. The first exhibit highlights the difficulties of building a transcontinental railroad connecting existing eastern U.S. rail networks at Omaha, Nebraska with the Pacific Coast in Sacramento and Oakland.
As you enter the Sacramento Train Museum, the first thing that greets you is the Governor Stanford steam train.
Fewer than 30 full-size steam locomotives built prior to 1880 exist in the U.S. This museum has 5, including this one.
One of the aspects of the museum here is that it highlights the people who helped build railroads in the Americas. The mannequins add to the experience, and they keep mostly to themselves. Our silent friend in the background there represents the construction foreman who helped build the railroad.
This exhibit pays tribute to the Chinese immigrants who performed dangerous and difficult tasks.
This shows how the railroad workers used hammers and hand tools to build the railroad. It takes a lot of effort.
The coast-to-coast railroad connection, with quicker, safer, less expensive access to Western North America, revolutionized how people view the continent and people. Pro tip, engage with the docents. Now we go to a Canadian National sleeper train built in 1929. It's been restored to its 1940s appearance, with curtained upper and lower berths. Get ready to ride.
We're in the sleeper car, and it simulates motion of a train and the sounds as you're moving so that you can get the experience. There's actually even lights outside as you pass by. Oh, we found somebody asleep. Quiet now.
Looks like we'll visit the restroom before going to the dining car. The Cochiti dining car was part of the Super Chief and later California Limited running between Chicago and Los Angeles. Railroads took great pride in offering first-class meal service.
Looks like lunch is just about ready.
You can almost smell the gourmet meal being prepared in this rolling restaurant.
Looks like they're ready to seat us. The dining car is kind of interesting because they show the different dining flatware from different trains throughout the golden age of train travel.
Nothing could be finer than dinner in the diner. Railroads were competitive and used unique place settings and elegant meals as a marketing tool, even if they lost money at it. Replicas of the California poppy pattern are available through the museum. Now we head over to the 1951 Great Northern Railroad rolling post office. Prior to airplanes and until about 1967, railroads delivered mail across the U.S. and Canada.
You got up to 12 guys working. See this one table?
Yeah.
And then look on the floor, you see a bunch of brackets?
Yeah.
Okay? There would have been brackets all the way down with tables attached to it. There's 2 ways they got mail. One, if there was a train depot, they would actually stop and they would open the doors and actually someone would hand them a big canvas mail bag. The railroad was supposed to pick up and deliver mail at every single stop. Well, there's not always a train depot. So they developed the catch and throw system, which is back there, which is a handle that you pull down and it has a hook on it. and the hook grabs a bag that's hanging on a rack, and then it brings it over to you. You grab that bag in, and then you throw one out at the same time. Every guy had their own way of doing it. Some would pull the bar down and throw at the same time. Some would pull it out and kick at the same time. They had their own method for doing this, whatever worked for them.
Southern Pacific's 4294 is a steam engine that's a favorite of the museum. This powerhouse entered service in 1944. These cab forward trains were developed so that the engineers would be ahead of the smokestack. They had problems when they were in tunnels that the crew would suffocate from being in the smoke. This powerful train was developed to carry the loads across the mountains.
This locomotive beast has 2 pilot wheels, 2 sets of 8 driving wheels, and 4 trailing wheels. This articulated locomotive has a joint between the first and second driving wheels. The articulation essentially makes it 2 locomotives sharing a firebox, boiler, crew, and tender.
We'll go inside and see all the dials and gauges, but even so, there were more when it was actually operating. Wow, lots of gears, lots of dials.
The cab forward 4294 steam-powered locomotive burned bunker C oil rather than coal, so the fuel could be piped from the tender to the firebox, with the tender trailing behind, giving the cab better visibility. The 4294 in this museum is the only remaining SP cab forward locomotive. The second floor is the entrance to the infrequently used theater, as well as some play spaces for the youngsters. For most visitors, just make your way to the top or 3rd floor. The museum's top floor, known as the collector's attic, has an extensive collection of toy or miniature trains, perhaps one of the best in the world. The exhibits showcase the evolution of model trains and railroading. My next video will be solely on this aspect of the museum. The Sacramento Train Museum does have a gift shop for those little rangers and engineers who are good during the tour. As you exit the museum into Old Sacramento, there's actually more to see. The Train Museum maintenance shed is located here. It's a work area, so it wouldn't be safe to enter, but you can gaze in at the engines and cars being maintained. Stop, look, and listen, all aboard for the California State Rail Museum's Excursion Railroad. Reserve ahead of time if your heart is set on taking this 50-minute excursion ride along the Sacramento River.
Come on, let's ride this train. Let's ride this train now.